All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you can all hear me well. Raphael, Pete, good to see you guys. Last week we checked out a new book together for the first time, and I think it was Friday, maybe Thursday or Friday last week. A new book arrived, and I've been saving it. It's a new zine that some of you might be familiar with. Some of you might have picked it up, considering we're on YouTube, and this fella has quite a good YouTube channel. So we're going to be taking a look at a new book, a new zine, together here soon. Jim, good to see you. Things are good. Yeah, things are good. Happy hump day to you as well, Pete. All evening, I have been mowing and weed eating, and even Tyler came over. Tyler's the kind of friend that says, hey, next time you're mowing, let me know. Tyler lives in town in an apartment and hasn't done any lawn work in a while, and he was itching too, so I had some help today. Tyler came over and was weed eating while I was mowing, and it has rained nonstop over the past week, so I felt like I was plowing an actual field tonight, just mowing the yard. It was insane. Poor dogs were getting lost out there. Raf 9000, first time joining the stream. Well, hey, thanks for being here. Hope you enjoy it. We're going to be taking a look at a new book together here very soon. Free labor is always good. Tyler's always down to help out. He's a good dude. We got a decent amount done, but we still didn't even finish everything. I have one of those Ego zero turns that say up to 4 acres on a single charge. No. Don't ever believe that. I like Ego stuff, but yeah, no 4 acres on a single charge. Come on. Where are we at here? Carl, what's up? I'm doing well. We are, let me see if we can see this all right. Little bit of a different setup on the overhead camera. As I continue to get more and more familiar with Nikon and N-Log and streaming with this camera and everything. But I think this will look good. So, I don't know if you can see up there, I've crossed out everything to not dox myself or this man. Pauly B. So, if anyone is familiar with Pauly B's YouTube channel, and the very well-known walkie-talkie series. He's a good dude, and let me slip that out of the way. Pauly's a great dude, and he just got a brand new zine that he put out. We'll carry on. And we're going to take a look at this for the first time together. So I appreciate y'all joining me. If you don't already know Pauly's YouTube channel, it's very much, well, he focuses a lot on other photographers and interviewing other photographers. But Pauly Street Photography itself, I'm always happy to see him put something of his own work out there. He does a lot for the street photography world. Not just in New York, but everywhere. So I'm excited to check this out. I also got his zine. I'm halfway through it, but I left it at my work desk. I'm going to join from home tomorrow. There you go. It's always good to take something like this to work with you. I might adjust the camera here. Yeah, I'm going to bring the camera closer. One sec. Who did this zine? In terms of the printing, is that what you're asking, Pete? If you're asking about the printing itself and who did that, I'm not sure. It might say in the back. We might find out, but yeah, let's take a look at it. Oh, the photographers. So this is Paulie, Paul Baldonado. Let me get a little, if the camera, there you go. Paul Baldonado will carry on. This is Paulie B. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, this arrived last week. So I've been itching to take a look at it. Let me try to fix the glare here. Carl, have you tried the Nikon ZF yet? And if so, what's your opinion? I have, and it was very, very brief, just for a day. I'd like to spend more time with it to try one out. I hated the ergonomics of the camera, but I think if I spent a little more time with it and I had a grip on there, I might enjoy it, because I really love the Z8. The afternoon I got my hands on a ZF that a friend had, I wasn't sold, like, right away. I like this one here, the guy with the kid, with the boxing gloves. Dan, what's up, man? Good to see you. Love that. The horizon almost like exactly in the corner here. I don't know if you can really see it, but it just wraps all the way around. I like that. No shortage of parades in NYC. Yeah, that's I believe the whole sort of hook of this is that it's all parade photos, and I think that was one of the things that he often was told. If I remember right from what he shared on Instagram, it seemed to be like that was a very common thing he would hear from street photographers in terms of advice, or what advice they would give to street photographers, and it was like, avoid just shooting parades. And I don't know if that's because some street photographers consider that like a trope, sort of like the, don't take photos of railroad tracks, whatever, that kind of thing. I don't know if that's why they were saying that, but if that's the case, like, I love that Paulie was like, no, I'm gonna shoot parades, and I'm gonna make a zine of it. And anybody who is able to, like, acknowledge that sort of thing, like, yeah, this might be a trope, or maybe this is considered not what everyone, I don't know. I feel like street photography in itself, and I'm very much an outsider looking in. I'm not a street photographer. So I think there's this, like, edge to street photography that some street photographers really wear on their sleeve, as like a badge of honor. And I like the idea of it being like, no, don't shoot parade photos. And Paulie's like, no, I'm going to make a whole zine of just parade photos. I love that. I really like this one. That's the flash on the flag there, and just how massive it is in the frame. It's really trippy. Ralph says, I should leave some photo books at my home desk so I have something to look at, but I leave all my photo books at work to enjoy some off-screen time when on my breaks and lunch. That's amazing. That's a healthy habit. Lately, the majority of my time with my books have been on these Wednesday night live streams. This is a timeless photo. But yeah, The majority of my time with the books lately is with all of you. Ever since I moved them out here to the barn specifically for these live streams, I always think like I need to just bring a few books inside with me at night, but I never do because most of the time one of my 3 kids are occupying all counter or table space, and the second I try to look at a book in my lap, there will be a child climbing on my lap and on the book, and I just can't put my photo books through that kind of abuse. So I don't nearly look at books inside in the evenings, just like on the couch or at the kitchen table like I used to. Dan says I have them all shipped to my work address so I can enjoy them there first. That rules. I like this one a lot. It's a rad pairing. This tree with all the branches and all the arms on it, and then all of these strings from the different kites all tangled up. That's rad. Oh, that's great. Love that. This is awesome. That might be one of my current favorites so far. All the band kids. That rules. Any musicians here in the chat? I can't play anything. Grew up with a lot of musicians, but I can't play anything at all, and I wish I could. Former band kid, that was 100% accurate. Hell yeah. Like to pretend I can play the guitar. Molly used to play guitar from time to time, but it's been years. I've got my grandpa's banjo that I would love to learn to play at some point. Used to play the viola and piano. Haven't touched them in forever. Played professionally for a while. What'd you play, Jim? That's awesome. I have a lot of people in my family play the piano and the organ. But yeah, I never learned how to play anything. I wish I would have taken lessons as a kid, but I don't know, a lot of my friends and family members who that was like the thing their parents signed them up for as a kid, they grew up to just hate it because it was required of them. So I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if maybe that would have had the same effect on me. Saxophone with the Temptations. Dang, Jim. That's amazing. Toured for 10 years in a metal band as the vocalist. Never learned an instrument. Hell yeah, Mason. A lot of the music stuff I used to shoot was a lot of metal stuff around the scene here. What's up, Benji? Good to see you. Had a pretty good week. It's been a rainy week, and last week I was going to say all 3 kids were homesick. The 2 big kids were homesick, so I had me and all 3 kids by myself for a couple days, and didn't get much photography or work done, and it was raining the whole time, so we were all a little stir crazy, but we're all doing better now. Had a good time outside today. Pretty wild gig. They traveled with their own chefs. That sounds about right. When you've got it like that. That's pretty wild. Pete says, I did sound for a lot of bands. I carried a lot of amps and a lot of PA equipment. Carried in a lot of stuff like that in and out of shows, but couldn't tell you how any of it worked. It's wild. That's awesome. Not the typical street photography shot you'd expect, I guess. That looked like a still from a movie set. Pete says, I can't pick a favorite photo from this zine. Yeah, there's some really rad ones in here. I still think the band photo might be my favorite, just because that's such a, like, I don't know, you can feel that one. That, like, takes you back to high school in a way. If they were high school, they could have been college bands. I have no idea, but that's immediately what I thought of, was all of my friends in band in high school. That one's rad too. Tim says, not wanting to haul gear and deal with other personalities is why I got out of bands and into photography. It's funny. There's something about that I can't I can't speak on from experience, but one of my best friends has been in bands for, like, playing in different metal bands, rock bands, all kinds of different bands at this point, but a lot of heavily metal and hardcore focused for most of it. And when he got into photography, that was one of the first things that he really would always bring up when we'd be talking about it, was just like how that felt, finding something where it's just him, there's no other person or personality there that you need to rely on or clash with. It's a very, like, singular, often, like, lonely kind of thing, or just something you go out and do on your own. And I was like, yeah, I never thought about it that way, but that makes sense. I think that while I would love to play an instrument, I don't know necessarily how much I would enjoy being in a band, at least from just from the bands I've been around. I don't know if that's really, like, my personality type, you know. My two favorite photos are the rainbow photo and the glove in the mouth photo. The glove in the mouth one was rad, where he was, like, texting and had the glove. The glove almost looked like, let me run back to that one. It almost looked like a middle finger, the way the glove was hanging there. Let me see if I can find that one real quick. There it is. Yeah, that's a good one. Jim says, in my experience, the musicians at the highest level also have the highest character. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, totally given the bird. Yeah, exactly. That was my first thought. Yeah. Good evening, Matt. Yep. Guitar man and photographer here. I'm an old guy now, so there's no bands for me. Well, hey, thanks for being here. Yeah, solo projects and not playing live is the way to go, in my opinion. Yeah, I feel like that's how I would tend to be. I would enjoy playing alone, and just kind of like maybe playing with friends as well, but the idea of like having an agenda as a band and like wanting to do the thing, I don't think I have that in me. Josh says, I feel like some, not all, of those photos would benefit from a square crop. Some feel like they could be album covers. Oh, I totally see that. Yeah, I mean, that one right there, that alone, that could easily be a perfect album cover right there. That looks like, yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's the one. I still think this is probably my favorite one. Shooting from this specific angle, like low and with the kid laying on the ground on the street, right there in the foreground, I love that. Kid with his head down, this one over here on her phone. Yeah, it's great. Matt, did you see the picture of the meth raccoon? Are you talking about the video of the raccoon that's holding on to the pipe in the driver's seat? Because I did see that video. That, without a doubt, felt like something that that would happen around here. I don't even know if I noticed that on the first flip through. Luchador in the driver's seat. Hell yeah. That one's great too. I feel like I might have been talking the first time I glanced over that one. I really like this one. The kids' reactions, like their expressions, and the people back here reacting to it. That one's fun. Happened in Akron. That would make sense. Okay. It was Ohio. There's Ohio is it's a special place. Yeah, this is rad. We'll carry on. I don't know if this one is still available. But if you enjoyed it, let me see. I don't remember seeing any info in the back. No. Yeah, not sure where this one was printed. Oh, hell yeah. Pete says it is available. I just looked and picked one up. Amazing. Yeah, check that one out. I met Polly year and a half or so ago at this point, I think, in Atlanta for the Film Stock event with KEH, and just such a good dude. Genuinely a rad dude, and his YouTube channel is great as well, but support him. We'll carry on. Tim, no wonder I saw that so many times today. I'm in Akron. Oh, right on. Kent boy here. It's making the rounds for sure. That's awesome. What was it? The dead giveaway. Do you remember the guy, the news story, the guy that was talking about the girl that was She came running out of the house. She had been like chained up. I think that was in Cleveland, if I remember right. I remember the day that Molly and I were in Tennessee and we were getting gas, about to drive home. And the lady at the gas station was like, "Y'all are from Ohio, where they got that girl? She was chained up." I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And it was all over all over the news that day. There was a big, someone back when everyone was like remixing and auto-tuning all the news clips into songs. Dead Giveaway. If you just look up that one, Dead Giveaway news song or whatever, you'll see it. Wish I started watching you before Film Stock. Same as Paulie. I started watching both of y'all after Film Stock. Oh, right on. Well, hey, I'm glad you're here. It's funny. It's interesting. Like anytime someone mentions that they have recently found out about the channel, because I never know how they found it or what videos they found, and there are some videos that I see that people will comment on, and every once in a while when I click on it to respond, like the beginning of the video will start playing, and I'll hear myself or see myself from like a decade ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is weird. There's a lot of different me out there, I guess. So I don't know. Yeah, Raph, appreciate you being here. Let me know if you guys have any book recommendations you'd like to take a look at, because I'm up for really any. I need to, there we go, fix that. I was a couple of minutes late tonight when we got started. I was having issues with OBS and like all of my cameras not connecting. I don't know what that was about, but seems to be working now. There we go. Okay. Whoops. There it is. All right. Jim, how about Elliot Erwitt? I'm always down for that. Let's see. Let's do. Have you done Herzog? I believe we have. I will add that to the list. Let's take a quick look at this one right here. Sequentially Yours by Elliot Erwitt. I'm going to have to adjust the camera a little bit. One sec. Maybe we've talked about this one. I feel like I have in a video, but I don't believe I ever have on stream. This entire book focuses on essentially a series of photos all made, one after another, a sequence, as opposed to just single images or an entire contact sheet. So it's fun. Hey Matt, rediscovered your channel recently. Any shows in local establishments in the near future? Hey, I appreciate you being here, man. Nothing in the immediate or near future, nothing in the works, but stay tuned here, subscribe to my email newsletter through my website. That will be the best way just to like keep an eye out when something like that does happen. I always make sure I let everybody know stuff like that here and on my newsletter. So yeah, I appreciate the interest and for hanging out. All right. So this is great. this kind of like interaction with these people. They start right here. They start walking past each other. The next frame, she kind of has this look on her face. It's a totally different, like seeing this one photo right here without seeing the context here. There almost looks like there's some tension in the exchange. Maybe not from his end, but at least that's how I interpreted it the first time I looked at it. But then as she's walking away further, whoops, there we go. She kind of has that grin on her face and him looking back at her smiling. Just so good. Seth, William Eggleston's Mystery of the Ordinary is a great photo book. My current favorite, anyway. Now that you mention it, let me look. I don't think I have any Eggleston at all at the moment. I had, what was it, Guide? His first, or not his first, but like the big book that was really popular. Skip past some of these because I don't know what YouTube's rules are. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was William Eggleston's Guide that I had a long time ago, and I didn't hang on to it. It's probably one of those that, I don't know, most people would consider as like a must-have. It's like Robert Frank, The Americans. I don't own a copy of that, and that's very much, most people would consider it like required reading. I used to own it, and I hung out with it. I spent time with it, and it's a very important book. Everyone who is anyone, studied that book, learned from that book, your favorite photographer's favorite photographer, etc. It was just a book I didn't really spend much time coming back to after a certain point, and yeah, that was that. So there are some books that you would think would be an obvious that I would have, but some of those I haven't hung on to. One sunbathing, one tossing a few back, and then next frame. So this is a fun one. A lot of Elliot Erwitt's sense of humor is on display here. I don't know if I've meant you guys can kind of see it. My hand is locking up right now, so I'm trying to turn the page. This is one of the fun after effects, or lingering effects, I should say, of the tic illness from the nerve issues in my hand. Hold on one second. When I use my hands a lot, like for instance today, weed eating and mowing and everything, they tend to lock up worse. It's really only my right hand, but this is such a wild photo. So good. Have you read any of Jason Lee's photo books? Curious what people think of his work. I enjoyed his Texas, California 19 book. Yes, I have. I've got quite a few of his books. He's been on the channel a couple of times. We had a conversation about In the Gold Dust Rush, I think specifically. And then I think we might have done the first book as well. I can't remember. Dan, I have too much Eggleston, even 2 records he made. It's getting ridiculous. Well, let me know if there's, I guess, aside from the William Eggleston's guide, where would you recommend I go next? I guess out of all of his books, send me a recommendation because I am curious. I'm never like anytime I find a book from a photographer, if it's one that I don't end up keeping, I always think like there very well could be another book of theirs that I love. There are books of that, some of my favorite books from one photographer, someone else might consider that their least favorite book from that said photographer. It's just like albums with music. This is a fun one right here. This couple sitting here by the fountain, like taking photos of each other. They pass the camera back and forth. He's taking pictures of her here and here, all this stuff. Now she's got the camera. And then they're gone in the last frame. And then another couple. Two different people there in the same spot afterwards. The umbrella photos. Following the person walking this umbrella. That's a llama. At least I believe. I don't know. That could be an alpaca. Has anybody seen the video of the guy getting super offended when someone calls his alpaca that he's walking down the street a llama? I think it was in Australia or New Zealand, if I remember, based on the accent. And it was an unnecessarily hostile exchange between two people on the street. And I'm pretty sure they were in Australia. My brother-in-law lives there, and he was like, yeah, that's it's pretty accurate. That's how it is. If photo books are like albums, I'd say Mystery of the Ordinary would be Eggleston's greatest hits or something like that. It covers photos spanning most of his career. Oh, right on. Okay, cool. Yeah, any sort of, what do they call that? Like a retrospective type thing. Or like, yeah, any big compendium of the work. That's rad. Oh, I just remembered someone asked about Larry Towell's The Mennonites on a stream. I need to add that. Compilation. Yeah, there you go, Jim. I need to add that to the list of books to look at because someone asked if I had that one, and I do. I don't think we've ever looked at Larry Towell on the channel, but having Irwit on screen is really slowing down my event photography editing tonight. Well, I can relate. I understand. We all need distractions, That's isn't that part of the process? If you print a bunch of photos in small size like 4R, any recommendation on how to store them? Binder, album, need one that lasts 100 plus years. Yes. I got you. One sec. Okay. So real quick, these are Bessler print file archival binders. Sorry, not Bessler print file. Those are two separate companies, I believe. Bessler binder, Besler. Search for that, and then inside you're going to use, oh man, you're going to use print file sleeves, and you can do this a number of different ways. These are all sleeves that fit instant film kind of perfectly. Like, it's just a little bit oversized for a Polaroid frame, so it's kind of perfect. Print file sleeves, you can order these to hold 4x6s, to hold 5x7s, a full 8x10 or 8.5x11. They're all fitting for, 3-ring binders, so they work great with these. These are archival. They keep everything nice and sealed up tight. It goes all the way around. They're plastic. They're made just for that. So let me know if that's helpful. You can find these on Amazon, B&H, all kinds of places, both the sleeves and the binders. I've got like 30 of them over here, holding everything from 35 and 120 to 4x5 film, instant film. They hold all kinds of stuff. So hope that helps. Yes, that was a young Fidel Castro with a cigar as well, Jim. Yes. Believe so. I remember, before I even flipped the page, I remember this one now. All these people standing around, the dog checking it out at first, not interested. Gonna hike his leg over here on the pole. Oh, Che Guevara. There you go. That's what I was wondering. I was like, wait, am I wrong? I don't know. I'd say Election Eve and the Democratic Forest are probably my favorites. If they're not out of print, my actual favorites are the 3-book box sets that Steidl did for Chromes and Outlands. That's one that I believe my friend Nathan has. I think I remember him sending me a photo of that one when it came in. The box set. Democratic Forest, though, I think, I'm trying to remember. My friend, who was it that used to tell me about that one? I think it might have been Caleb Jenkins. I think he was the one that was telling me about either Election Eve or the Democratic Forest, like years ago. So I'll look into those. Appreciate that, Dan. Fold out sequence here from this, I guess, commercial shoot. Oh, good looking out, Tim. Says Alex Soth has a great video on the Democratic Forest. I should have known that he would come through, and that's already taken care of. Hell yeah. Little kids playing. You got the little kid with the giant boxing glove. Bigger kid bending down, like, down in his face. That's fun. Florida A&M University band portrait. Ali going down. Glare on this one. Some books, you don't have to worry about the glare, and others, it's non-stop. Not necessarily this book in general, but filming here. The lighting setup is sometimes it works, other times not. Is that Joe Frazier hitting Ali down? I was going to guess. I was like, is that Joe Frazier? I feel like I've heard that talked about enough, but I'm not a boxing or really sports in general, I guess, guy in terms of like history and knowledge of iconic moments, I guess, in sports. If you want to talk pro wrestling, I mean, I'm your guy, but my brother would be the one with any other sports knowledge. Love that. That's awesome. This reminds me of that one Better Call Saul episode out there in the desert. Hey, Greg, good to see you. We're taking a look right now at Sequentially Yours by Elliot Erwitt, if you're just now joining us. It's essentially a book of photos that were taken in sequence, one after another, just after a few moments. Sort of like a contact sheet type book, but it's not the whole roll. Just a few photos here and there together. Taking some self-portraits together. That's sweet. Getting them walking back and forth from setting the camera up, going and getting in the shot, and then walking back to the camera. Greg says, totally forgot it was Wednesday night and you might be live. I feel that way most Wednesdays. Halfway through most Wednesdays, I'm like, oh, I got to stream tonight. I got to get everything set up here. Snuck up on me this evening. Trying to remember if we know the context to this photo. I'm assuming, I mean, you would think it might be something like a protest, but I'm pretty sure this is probably like a sporting event. Guy's standing there with a cigarette, screaming. He's going through it. That kind of reaction to me, I don't know. That screams sports fan who is having a rough time, but I could be totally wrong. Renaissance of painting vibes with these. Yeah, 100%. Look at that. Going through it. Oh, yeah. I forgot about this one. Like, some of this stuff like that, the dog laying on its back, you know, playing dead in a setting like this, that's the kind of humor that I've always loved in Elliot Erwitt's work. And it's just little stuff like that that just, anytime there's no context needed, it doesn't matter if the person is someone historical or not. Those kind of photos that anyone can look at and immediately you get it, especially when it's just, hey, that's funny. You know, that's all that's needed, I guess, for the photo. That's the only reason you take it. Is just, hey, that's kind of funny. Yeah, that's always been what I love about it. Erwitt's book on dogs is hilarious. Yeah, I mean it's so good. That's been one of my all-time favorites for the longest time. Sorry, there's a whole lot of butts right there. I think he was on a nude beach. Skip past that in case YouTube decides to get a little sassy with me. This is another one. I think this is on the cover, if I remember right. But that's a fun one. Ian, yeah, it's interesting how these are basically comic strips. That's a really good way of looking at it, actually. That's funny. That's very accurate for this book in particular. It really does feel like that. Dog saying, yeah, here, throw me the stick. I think I'll just watch instead. Yeah, that's very well said. That's how these do read, like a comic strip often. And I think a lot of his, like these especially, because everything is just, you know, it's back to back, one photo after another. But his work in general, I really like that aspect of it, that anyone can pick it up and they can find the humor in the photo. Okay, now I'm curious. Let me look at those. Piazza del Duomo, Milan, Italy, 2002. That's the sequence of the guy hollering with the cigarette. That's the info there. So, yeah, very well could have been football, as they say. Sequentially yours, Elliot Erwitt. This is one that I think Molly got me for Christmas many years ago. Or maybe not many years ago, but some time ago. It's a good one. Now, somebody, and I apologize, I don't remember who said it, but I do remember seeing somebody in the chat saying when we were going through like what books to look at, someone said anything 6x6. They needed some 6x6 inspiration, and I have got just the book for that. We're going to need to bring the camera down a little bit closer first. There we go. All right, this is Spanish Summer by Gary Johansson. This is the only Gary Johansson book that I have. Jerry Johansson. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, actually. If anyone knows if it's Jerry or Gary, I say Gary, but I could be totally wrong. This one, all black and white, all 6x6, and it's a good one. Bring that exposure down a little bit, see if that helps with some of the glare. So this book will have the location at the bottom here. Dang, I'm gonna have to bring the camera even closer, I think. You're not gonna see the whole page, but for this book, the photos, it's Gary, you're welcome. At least I think that's what you said. Very good, Tim. I appreciate that. So you're gonna have the location here at the bottom, and the book is sequenced alphabetically. So we're gonna start with A here. But yeah, all of the photos are printed this size. So like, there's my hand. I have very average size hands. So it's printed kind of small. So I'm gonna bring the camera, I think, even closer. All right. Yeah, we're gonna go with this for now. Let's see. I like to shoot square on my mirrorless just because I miss shooting on my old medium format cameras. Yeah, I totally get that. Just turning on the square viewfinder, sometimes that can scratch that itch. So if you're into very pleasing compositions when it comes to square format, it's just a very pleasing book, in my opinion. It's a small book, small printing. I don't mind that at all because big printed books, you know, time and place. I really like this form factor. It's hopefully coming across well enough on stream. But when you're looking at it by yourself, it's a nice, like, intimate kind of book, but it's a dense, very dense book, as you can see. So there's a lot here. And again, if you like this kind of black and white work, 6x6, some of these like tree landscape stuff kind of reminds me of some Robert Adams. Larry Fink shot with a small point and shoot Sony RX100 in square format. Hell yeah. I love square, but only when I'm shooting Polaroid. That is, I would say that's my favorite aspect, or that's my favorite format to shoot square with, is with a Polaroid. And that's why, like, as much as I love other instant film formats, Instax is fun, but the classic Polaroid frame, I'm a sucker for it. Is there a 35mm film camera that shoots in square format aside from using the adapter and a 126 vintage camera? Not that I know of, but that's not to say there wasn't one. I don't know of any, but there might have been some odd specialty use camera out there. I don't know how popular or common they would have been used, but there's a good chance there's something out there. Raf, there are some, but they're on the older side, I believe. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm like. Some of the weird cameras that were made solely for like dental use or medical use. There are some like real oddball cameras out there that you would think, why does this exist? And then you're like, oh yeah, they needed these film cameras for all sorts of things back in the day. So. Ian, which Polaroid models do you prefer, Matt? So, current Polaroid cameras that are being made, I really love the i2, but it's like Polaroid's pro option, I guess. Like, it's the one that is going to give you the most manual control, definitely the sharpest lens. However, if you're not interested in paying that much for all the pro features or all that stuff, if maybe you just want to shoot Polaroid from time to time, the new Polaroid Flip that just came out, Elliot has been using his nonstop, and we're gonna do a full video on it. But that camera I recommend to people if you don't want to spend the money on the i2 from Polaroid. The Polaroid Flip is phenomenal. The i2, if you really love shooting Polaroid, like, I genuinely think it's the way to go, because it's just, I love that camera. I really enjoy the look that you get from that specific lens. The SX70 was like my all-time favorite Polaroid camera for over a decade. But the i2, in terms of speed and usability and features, it's just great. I love the use of the Polaroid SX70. Like, using it is so much fun, and easily like top 3 camera designs of all time for me. Like, without a doubt, it's incredible. But with all of the advantages that the i2 has in terms of that lens, the autofocus, yeah, it's great. Really love that camera. 24 by 24 is the square format for 35 millimeter, and if you search for 24 by 24 camera, you will find some neat ones. Huh. Interesting. Good looking out, Eric. Danny, a new SX70 would be amazing. Oh, that would be. Trust me. If they wanted to bring back the original SX70 and like manufacture brand new ones, I can't say I wouldn't be tempted, just because. What's up, Jonas? Thanks for being here. You too, Rakesh. Good to see you. Raphael, Lomo LCA wide has a square mask that you can use to shoot square. I have one, but haven't tried it. I didn't know that. I've always wanted to try that camera. I really wanted to many years ago. I never got around to it, and now my point and shoot use is, I don't know. Anytime I have a point and shoot, and I think, all right, this is going to be the time that I use it, I never do. Man, I feel the same way about the i2 and the SX70. Love that camera, but the i2 is just plain easier to use, and the lens is phenomenal. Exactly, Seth. That's the thing. Like, I love the SX70 for so many reasons, but the results that I get from the i2, I'm like, yeah, is it as super cool and ultra romantic to use a modern autofocusing camera as opposed to the original SX70? Is it going to look as cool on IG? Maybe not. Am I going to be happier with the photos and get the photo faster and more like consistently getting the shot because of how fast it focuses and how sharp it is? Yeah, I'm very happy with the results of the i2, and that's why I'm like, yeah, as much as I just over romanticize the SX70 because it is so fun to use, and it just is a classic, the i2 is just it just works. Jonas, I finally bought myself a point and shoot, a Nikon L35AF. Those are rad. When a listing said it was testing and working, but when I got it, it didn't turn on. That's a bummer to hear, man. I've had a couple of those that I picked up at like flea markets and antique shops, that kind of thing. Yeah, as Ian says, that's the point and shoot rite of passage. It's always hit or miss with some of those, but that is a great camera. If you can find one for a decent price and not overpay for it, when they work, they're nice. I had a friend that used to always just keep his like covered in masking tape, because it was just it was full of light leaks, and every time you'd finish a roll, he'd get more masking tape out and patch it all up. But it was rad though. The photos were always sick. We're not even halfway through this book, by the way. This is a very dense book, but it's like, I don't know what it feels like, because it's like all of these small kind of snapshots in this small book, and they're all like in alphabetical order. It feels like you're like this is like a travel log, you know, and it's just these individual little moments, like you're kind of retracing steps in a way. I don't know how to explain it. There's something about the size of the book that it's causing that, or it's at the very least influencing this feel of like a little travel log diary type feel. But this is the kind of stuff I love. The simpler, the better. The less in the frame, the better. I love when things aren't cluttered and full of stuff. And this is like, I mean, I think this kind of thing, I would assume at least, would be relatively not polarizing, because it's not like it's this really I don't know, it's simple, and to some people this might be too bare, too simple. Oh, what's up? I noticed no people and lots of cemeteries. Yeah, exactly. Like, we just looked at Polly B's latest zine of street photography, and like packed streets full of people, and this is such a complete change of pace, visually and sequentially, like totally different. So to some people this might be way too boring, but I love seeing things that are somewhat nondescript. You can't really place exactly where or when they were made, and there's not a lot of distraction. It feels very quiet. Jim, square format, compositional expose. Yeah, I mean, that really is like, that was when someone said they wanted to look at something 6x6, this was the first one that came to mind, because I'm like, this, I don't know what else you would want to look at after looking at this one. That's how I feel anyway, and that's how I hope. I hope it's enjoyable for anyone who likes 6x6 or square format stuff. But it's like, this really does, I think, sum up. Not that that's the intended goal, but the kind of stuff that I would be looking for, and the kind of compositions, or at least the way things would be composed on 6x6 when all sides are equal, the way that makes me compose things, and also just going through the process of looking and being like, nope, okay, there's something here, you know. There's something about square format that just having that frame change like that, having all sides equal, your sort of like natural instincts to frame something either in portrait or landscape orientation, it really like challenges you because you don't have that sort of immediate gut reaction. At least that's how I feel. Like when I go out to shoot and I see something, I immediately go like, okay, I know as soon as I see what I'm looking at, I tend to have an idea of how I want to frame it, whether it be not overall, but whether it's portrait or landscape, horizontal or vertical. And when you don't have that, yeah, it just exactly. I feel like Square makes itself known more than any other format, if that makes sense. Exactly. Like there's something very, I don't know about universal because everyone has their own style, but yeah, there is something that a lot of people I think tend to, I don't know. When all sides are equal, you tend to want to keep things that way. And so a lot of symmetrical ideas come into play, and working with those lines, the lines of the frame itself, I feel like play an even bigger role in the composition, if that makes sense. Ian, if are there any books with only circle cropped shots? That'd be neat. I don't know of any, but that would be interesting. Maybe some old fisheye stuff, if people have any collections of fisheye stuff, depending on the fisheye and I guess the camera and format it was used. Um, there could be some where it's like the majority of the page is black, but you get just that super intense fisheye effect where it's like completely circular. Oh, Jonas, I just now saw that. I'm glad you're getting a refund on the camera, man. Hopefully you find one. If it's not the L35AF, hopefully you find something that you enjoy and that's working, man. I'm printing 9x16 because that is what people are accustomed to seeing on their computer. There you go. Uh, I mean, nowadays on people's phones too, it's interesting how many people are shooting vertically specifically for social media. Um, I had a shoot with one of the local coffee shops this past Friday, and I wasn't really thinking about it until we were there. And I was like, oh, yeah, you probably want most of this video to be shot vertically, don't you? And they were like, actually, yeah, now that you mention it, I think so. And I kind of hate shooting vertical video. I only hate it because it feels wrong. It feels so awkward because I'm not used to it, and I want to get better at it. I want to find, you know, I want to find a way to challenge myself to actually shoot video that I enjoy shooting vertical. But it is, man, it is a challenge. Tim, I hate vertical, but we got to do it. Exactly. It's the necessary evil of the social world. Is that, as a matter of fact, isn't that what people are saying? Uh, like Fujifilm is coming out with like a half frame. They're calling it half frame, but it's just like an APS-C sensor that's vertical. Is that right? Is there any truth or validity to that? What are they doing over there at Fujifilm? What the hell's going on? Seems like square, when printed, tends to suggest professional in the way that strong bokeh and portraiture used to. That's interesting. Um, I wonder what. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that's because the format is sort of, maybe now been linked with like the past and older cameras and that process, and do you think that has anything to do with it? Fuji doing everything but making film. That's what I've been saying. Literally since they gutted FP 3000B, I was like, all right, I'm cool. I mean, I still used a bunch of their digital cameras after that, but that was when I stopped really kind of trusting in what they were doing. I mean, they're a business. They got to make decisions. They're not just trying to make film and cool things for us, but losing that film hurt. I took it personal. It's a 1-inch sensor set up vertically, supposedly. Oh, really? What? I don't know, man. That the GFX X100 whatever, the fact that that didn't have a 35 equivalent, or that they didn't just make like a newer version of the GFX 50R. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that Fujifilm shooters have been asking for, and Fuji's like, what if we made a smaller camera with no viewfinder? Or what if we, I don't know. It's weird. What's up, Richard? Spider? Good to see you guys. So yeah, if Fujifilm is making a vertical sensor like just for content creators, I guess, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. Making like there's like Canon just came out with a few new cameras that are aimed at content creators. I mean, Sony has like a new one coming out seemingly every week. I really think one of their little ZV, what was it, the ZV-1? I had that briefly, and I kind of would like to get the ZV-1 Mark II. They added a little bit of a wider lens, USB-C on that one as opposed to micro USB, which to me that's that's a worthy upgrade. But yeah, for just a simple little YouTube camera, I feel like that would probably be the best option. I've been really enjoying the Osmo Pocket 3, which is what I'm using on this camera right here. Sorry, I had to move the whole overhead rig, so it's way lower now. But I like the Osmo Pocket 3 for what it does. I just don't like having a camera on a gimbal all the time. My favorite medium format cameras are all Fuji, the GW673, GS645, and GA645, and they are amazing. I've never owned any of those, but the Fuji rangefinders I have always been interested in. Matt, what's your take on monochrome only sensors that end up costing more than a full color sensor? So I used to have the M11 monochrome, and it's an incredible camera. Genuinely, the black and white files are like nuts, like too good to be true. How is this possible? Kind of insane files. But I don't have the camera anymore. I think that they're great, but I'm not the kind of I don't know. I really hoped it would be everything I wanted and more, but I think if I'm shooting black and white specifically, there's still something about just loading up a roll of black and white film as opposed to that. The House of Masks, AJ, I ain't gonna say it again. Boy, what do you gotta say? What are you talking about? What are you asking me? Did I miss something in the chat, AJ? Or are you asking me to come over? Come over to your church. What up, fellow film nerds? What up, Vinny? Richard, are they considered the Texas Leicas too, or is that just the GW690? That's a good question. I feel like that's what people referred to all of them as, but yeah, they're big though. Definitely Texas Leica is appropriate. We're in the tees now, by the way, guys. We're almost there. Tell you what, this is making me want to get out and just roam around and take photos. Lately, with my wife's work and school schedule, because she's back in college again and working full time, so most of my free time right now is literally like an hour after the kids get home from school and I'm hanging out with them, and then when everyone's in bed. That's been my only free time over the past few months, really. So I am very much looking forward to summer and having a little more time to actually get out and shoot. Oh, hell yeah, AJ. Yes, I will be over soon, man. I do want to come over. I really do. As I was just saying, it's literally nonstop. I am I'm dad. I'm barely a photographer this current season with the way my schedule is. So, but I will. Oh, sorry, I was late. What book is this? This is Spanish Summer by either Gary or Jerry Johansson. Verdict is still out on that. We're still trying to decide. I've always said Gary, but I've never been one to say I can't be wrong. So that very well could be wrong. It might be Jerry, but got to make a grilled cheese for the little one. Be right back. Hell yeah, Jonas. Take care of the young one. I most of the time that's all I'm doing is making someone a snack or picking something up that's spilled or wiping an ass or that's my day-to-day routine and schedule these days. 8x10 suggestion would be Chamonix. Oh, did someone ask for an 8x10 suggestion? You got that then, Richard. Chamonix do make great cameras. I had one of their 4x5 cameras for a little while, and it felt awesome to use. Josh, is the contrast on the images in this book relatively low to your eyes, or is it just the TV I'm watching this on? No, they are relatively, like right there. There's a little bit of a glare on the screen, or like on these pages. Right there, I would say, as I'm looking on screen, that's the most accurate representation of what it looks like to my eye. Like if I go a little bit, turn the page, you can see the shadows start to change just based on the light that's in here, and then you get a reflection. Right about there. That's like what it looks and feels like. So it is a relatively, I would say, lower contrast. None of the whites feel particularly white. Like everything, the whites and highlights feel very pulled down a little bit. Okay, yeah, see that would make sense. Jim says, I think it's sounding like Jerry. I know if you guys spelled with a G and it sounds like Jerry with a J. That would make sense. Again, I'm a simple man from Southern Ohio, so most of my pronunciations and everything have been all over the place. Yeah, like look at that's literally just a wall and a post. But I'm like, yep, I get it. I see why you stopped and shot that photo, man. That's great. Oh, okay. Sorry, Dan. I just now saw that. Up above, you said I'm thinking about documenting my 8x10 work out in the world, and you're talking about a digital camera to shoot footage. Okay. I mean, honestly, something like that, the Osmo Pocket 3 from DJI probably would be a good option because it's very good at like when you need to film yourself and you don't have someone operating the camera, and especially if you're lugging around an 8x10, the last thing you need is a heavy camera to add to the kit. So yeah, honestly, like unless you want to start with just using your phone and saving money in the meantime, I would consider looking into the Osmo Pocket 3. See if you know anyone who might have one, if you can. What the heck? There we go. Because I think for people, I do think it's a really good option for people filming themselves. It's just sometimes I don't like. I mean, it's never perfect. One thing I love about the camera is how small and lightweight it is. One thing I don't like about the camera is how small the screen is because of that. So it's like there's always going to be a trade-off, but I do think out of all the cameras I've used for like filming myself, making YouTube videos all this time, it's a really great option, especially if you're carrying a bunch of stuff already. Out of all of the different video, just shooting video on any mirrorless or, modern digital cameras, if we're talking like full-on video, the Sony FX3 is still probably my favorite one. It just worked so well, but it was just kind of overkill for what I was doing at the time, and yeah. Vinny, I'm making a zine to contribute to a zine fair. Hell yeah. I'm organizing in the next few months, but suffering pretty hard from decision paralysis for a theme. How do you go about putting collections together? Start with your gut. Start very broad. Make a lot of prints. Doesn't have to be like nice prints. It can be cheap Xerox prints from your local library. Just print everything off that you have that you would even consider, and start making little pairings. Start with pairings, and then you'll find more pairings to add to those pairings. And then all of a sudden you're going to start building out like an actual collection of photos, not just two photos side by side. Start with that, spread them all out in front of you on the floor, make arrangements, make sequences, take pictures with your phone, and then shuffle the deck and mix it all up again, and then start over. That to me is genuinely where I would start, because it's going to be hard to think of all the different photos and what you want to shoot or what you want to put together, and trying to think of it in your head. But when you get it physically in front of you, you're going to start making a lot more connections between photos that maybe you otherwise wouldn't. So start there. That's usually what I tell people for a starting point when you're looking to print stuff and put stuff together. There are a million different ways you can do it. This is literally just what I've done and what's helped me. So I hope that helps. So these are photographs made in 1992 and 2019 to 2021. So it's pretty interesting that like they were either made in 92 or they were made in this, 2 to 3 year span between 2019 and 2021. Pretty interesting. But yeah, MacBooks published this one. Again, my cover, the tip-in cover image is a little, it's like peeling right here. I spilled coffee on this book when the week I got it. But I've had it for a few years now. Yeah. Spanish Summer by, we believe, Jerry Johansson. Bring this up. All right. Well, before we wrap up the stream, let's just hang out and answer any questions you guys might have, or talk about anything, whatever, before we close out. Hey, there he is. Paulie B. Just tapped in, my man. Meant to earlier, but got caught up watching the Knicks game. Saw you looked at the zine. Appreciate you. Yes, we did. Paulie. We'll carry on. If you're just now joining us and you missed it earlier, we kicked off the stream taking a look at Paulie's new zine. It's available now. Check it out. If you are interested in looking at it here on the stream, check the replay of the stream. Once we're done, the replay will be up for everybody, and you can see the zine then. Very rad, Paulie. Stoked for you, man. Paulie, if you don't mind sharing, I think it was Pete in the chat who was asking, or wait, no, he was asking whose zine it was, not where it was printed. But either way, yeah, good job, Paulie. Stoked for you, man. Richard, favorite lens for the M6? Looking at, I mean, if I could pick any, probably the 35 Summicron version 4. But I think my days of buying expensive Leica glass like that are behind me. I'm at a point now where I've had years of fun of using all kinds of different cameras. Very, very, very fortunate for that. But when I use them, I enjoy them and I have fun, and then I sell them and I try something else. And I think I've just used so many things at this point now that I think I'm all gassed out in terms of like getting excited over certain gear or certain lenses, I guess. I think it's really just like it's a me problem. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I've driven myself crazy enough over the years with my just neurotic, like, I really like certain little differences between lenses, and it can derail me in a way where I'm like, I'm thinking more about this than what I'm shooting, and that's not good. So there is something that I really like about the Nikon, like the Z8 that I've been using, just being a camera. It feels like a camera. It's not something that like I look at and marvel at the design or anything. It just feels like a camera. And there is something about that where I'm like, yeah, that's probably what I need. Something that I don't get excited about, maybe. I don't know what it is. But all that to say, the M6 is still my favorite camera. The only lenses that I have currently for the M6, still have the Voigtlander 50 f1.5. I made a review on this lens sometime last year. I've had it for quite a while at this point, but really good lens. It's got a little rubber focusing tab from 7 Artisans on there. This came on the lens. The guy that previously owned it had put it on there, and I'm really glad he did, because I don't like rangefinder in-mount lenses without a focusing tab. It's just so much faster to shoot with, and you can be really intuitive with like knowing where your distance is at when you get, used to a lens, or I guess comfortable with the lens. And so, yeah, this has been the main 50 that I've used for over a year. And I don't even have a 35 for my M6 at the moment. I've mostly been shooting 50, which is weird. I don't like using 50 millimeter as much on my M6. I kind of prefer SLRs when I'm shooting with a 50 millimeter. But then if I'm shooting 35, I like a rangefinder. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. But yeah. Let's see. What about that Fuji digital half frame? Yeah, exactly. Who needs the M6 when you can get that? Greg, my 28 Summicron will just live on my Leica MA for as long as I own it. Hell yeah. That's the way to do it, man. I've owned a few different versions of the 35 Summicron, and all of those are great. Honestly, the Voigtlander 35 f2.5, the little color scope R. That was my first lens that I got for this M6, and a lot of the photos actually in, I mean, I don't know if a lot, I would say at least half probably in friend of mine were made with that little Voigtlander 35 f2.5, the color scope R. And yeah, that lens, like brand new, is like $400. That one's a sleeper for sure. That's a really good like entry into the M system, I think. But at the same time, you really probably would be fine to just keep that lens. Like 2.5 isn't ideal if you're in low light, but I don't know. I doubt all of the legends back in the day were complaining about 2.5 lenses. You know what I mean? Raka Supreme, do you ever get tired of talking about cameras? I don't, lol, but I wonder about a lot of you YouTubers. Yeah, exactly. I think I'm a nerd, so like I'm always going to be interested in talking about it, but I would say over the last two years, the last year for sure, probably 2 years though, have been the most where I'm like, just less interested in talking about it. Not that it's like I don't like doing it, but yeah, you know, they're all cameras at the end of the day, and they're all doing the same thing at the end of the day. But it's a challenging thing because, like, if we're being realistic, that is what draws the most anything. I mean, comments, views, whatever, talking about cameras is without a doubt what will make more money or grow the channel more. But I've had this like just shift in my mindset where when the YouTube channel became a thing, it wasn't intended to be a thing, but then it became a thing, and it was like, then it became a job, and this idea of like, well, this is too good to be true. I get to talk about photography and just share my photography, and that's my job now. It was like this thing that's getting bigger and bigger and heavier, and I'm trying to like not, it's like I'm stacking plates, you know, and the stack is so tall that I'm like, oh shit, I can't mess this up. You're just thinking about growing and doing more and more because you don't want it to go away. But like, I'm at a point now where I just feel like I've said everything I need to say, or I've talked about, I don't know what it is, but I feel much better now. And these I've talked about it a bunch. I don't want to be a broken record. I'm not going to talk about it a ton, but these live streams and opening up in different ways in the vlogs about more than just photography has been really refreshing and encouraging, because I conditioned myself for so long into thinking like that's all I'm valuable for. Like that is my value. That's what I'm here to do. I need to focus on doing that and not stray too far from that. Otherwise, what value am I bringing? Like that, I think, was just how I conditioned myself into thinking about it and just being like, all right, got to stay on topic, whatever, photography, new cameras, that sort of thing. And I've never been one of those channels that covers like every new camera that comes out. Really Leica camera, Polaroid as well. Leica will message me about some new cameras, not every new camera, most of them, most of the new stuff that's coming out that I either have experience with for my own personal use, or I've talked about here on the channel before. And I've just always had a really good relationship with everyone that I've worked with at Leica or just talked to. Someone left a comment the other day and was like, I'm tired of you people getting these cameras and getting paid to say all, you know, this or that. And I said, I was like, hey man, it's all good. Like, they've never paid me to make a video. about one of these new cameras. They just let me try it out for a week, and that's it. He's like, well, did you get to keep it? Because that's payment. And I'm like, I even said, I was like, dude, I disclose all of that as clear as I can in every video, and always tell people that no, I don't get to keep the cameras. They're not paying me, whatever. But that's still just like how people see it, because YouTube has become this thing that like, that's just what people think. They think it works that way. And it's just weird. That was such a small interaction, but it was just like things like that happened where I'm like, yeah, I really don't care. I don't care enough to talk about cameras to deal with people getting pissy in the comments about stuff. And it's such a like rare thing that happens, but it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, that's not real life. That's not real stuff. I don't understand, or I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, dude, what are we getting mad about? You know what I mean? How do people have time to get mad about photography stuff? It's insane. So there's like stuff like that when it comes to talking about gear. People get very in their feelings about gear. And so it's this like, I don't know, it's one of those things that anytime I make a video about a camera, or if a camera's in a thumbnail, I know people are just going to be drawn to that, and it is what it is. But at the same time, when people get really fired up over gear, it's just like, all right, maybe this is not what I should be doing, because I don't want to contribute to people getting frustrated on the internet. Like, I would much rather do something that would encourage people to be outside and enjoy themselves, do something good for themselves, for someone that they love. Like, there's so many, I don't know, there's so much to do in the world, and people get real fired up over the most trivial, not important stuff. Dude, I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. I didn't mean to go on a whole tangent about that, but it's just like, when thinking about talking about gear, I love cameras and I love talking about cameras with other photographers. But when it's me talking to the camera and then uploading, and then people watch it on their own time, going through their own day, whatever they're dealing with in their own life, it's not the same as like us sitting here talking about cameras. You know what I mean? It's just not the same kind of like experience or conversation. And so I've never had anyone in my life get fired up when we're sitting down talking about cameras, like getting defensive and argumentative or anything. It's just online. So when I see stuff like that, I'm just like, man, I don't know. How can I try to make like a maybe not productive, but like a place on the internet that's like a break. You know what I mean? I want it to at least be somewhat of a break, where we're not how humanity is 98% of the time, I guess, these days. You know what I mean? Where everything is just, I don't know. Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. Bash, Jonas, all of you. Yes. Tobin, the SL2 Focus, as Richard said, SL3 is much, much better. Specifically, are you talking photo or video? Photo, I feel like I did fine with the SL2's autofocus in dim situations. I kind of knew how to anticipate with that camera with the autofocus. SL3 got much better. SL2 video autofocus, I can't vouch for that. I didn't use the manual, or I didn't use the autofocus in video, specifically because it was just not reliable enough. But the SL3, thankfully, they fixed all that. Greg, well said. There are people in this world who just want to pick a fight, so just let it go. Yeah, exactly. How dare you have your own opinion? That's how it feels sometimes. Jonas, new channel member. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Glad to have you here. Yeah, that's very true. It's funny, like, thinking about that when I get a comment where someone, for whatever reason, they're taking it out on me, and I always wonder, like, where is that person at as they're typing the comment? What are they? Because the thing is, like, the stereotype is like all these people are just like miserable people who, you know, whatever. And not saying that the image from the outside looking in is everything, but like, or that it's accurate. But I've read things from people, things that people have said, like wild, just mean things that people have said, like personal things about me, where, for instance, I remember one where someone, and I still know their like username because I remember it, because I was like, I think this person follows me. They had gone on like a Reddit thing. Someone sent it to me. Went on a Reddit thing about me, and it was like psychoanalyzing me and like breaking down all kinds of stuff as if this person like actually knew me, and we'd never talked, but I recognized the name, and I was like, I feel like it's a very distinct name. And so then I looked him up on Instagram, and I'm like, yeah, this dude has followed me, has messaged me, and like said all of these nice things. I've had interactions, like I saw in our messages we had talked. But then they went online and like, you would think they were assuming to be anonymous, and it was just like picking me apart. And I messaged the dude. I was like, hey man, you seem like a happy dude. Like, you're recently engaged. Congrats. Like, I saw on his feed, and I'm like, what did I do to like upset you that much? And he was very like, dude, I'm sorry. I typed all that out when I was having a bad time and he was like very apologetic. And I was like, you don't need to apologize. I'm just trying to understand, like, I don't care if people don't like me or if they, whatever. It was just such a weird, where I'm like, from going through the messages, I'm like, we've had nothing but a positive interaction. What would bring that on? And why immediately backtrack it and be like, sorry, man, I was just going through something. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I've been through a lot of shit. I've never done that. You know what I mean? It's just weird. So like, you think when people are like, oh, it's just trolls or it's just people who are whatever, but I'm like, there's some like everyday normal people that have just gone off on random shit before. And I'm just like, all right, man, I don't know. It's weird, but it's only online stuff. It's never when you're like actually talking to someone in the real world. So I hate that little things like that have like soured me on some aspects of online and the internet and everything. You know what I mean? 'Cause this right here is such a like positive, normal thing. Just all of us hanging out and talking, but yeah, weird little things like that will happen. And then you're just like, what? Why? For what reason? And it's like that little thing, you'll just remember it. And I mean, that was years ago. And I have no idea what the dude, if I haven't talked to that guy since then, but every once in a while I'll randomly think of that and I'm like, yeah, I guess you never really know. Richard, $9.99 for the roll of HP5. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. And then another one, the great Vanzini. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. I really appreciate that. Whoops, almost got clicked out of there. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. When people ever come at me online with silly vitriol out of nowhere, I just ask, "Are you okay?" And half the time they just apologize. Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, I think people just need that, like, they need that acknowledgement of, like, humanity in a weird way. And, like, maybe that's the only way to find it, is to, like, fan the flames or, like, poke the bear. I don't know what, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's what it is, but it's really weird. It's really weird. And I also, like, that's another thing that as a parent I'm trying to figure out and, like, navigate for my kids. Like, Nora with her and her disability, that's one thing. But with Elliot growing up and, like, using the internet, being on the internet, and, like, what we share and how much we share, or I guess in what ways, I don't know. That's one of the things that I always think about, where I'm like, I can handle people saying some shit to me, but the thought of, like, my kids experiencing anything like that is really, like, that messes with me a lot. And just, it is just like a big thing where I'm like, I don't know what the internet is even going to look like once he's old enough and starts being interested in, like, social media or something, which will be many years from now. But it's a weird time. It's a weird time. But I don't want to get on my soapbox and talking about all of the negatives. As I mentioned, what we're doing here, being able to just literally hang out over photography and connect over it. That's what it's about. That's that literally, like, it restores my faith in the internet and in YouTube. And I think the idea of, like, community and the idea of having a community, I don't know. I feel really good about it now, where I know what I'm putting out there and how I'm sharing it. I'm feeling much better about or trusting much better. That's the better word. I'm trusting that it's finding and resonating with the people that it needs to. So I appreciate you all for being here for that, for real. My son doesn't understand that this is a huge reason why I'm not allowing chatting when he plays Fortnite. Yes, exactly. That right there with Elliot. With Elliot, when it comes to, like, adding any friends or talking to any friends on Fortnite, I'm like, unless you have played with this person in real life and they are your actual real life friend, that headset ain't going on. Everyone's being muted. Which, playing Fortnite with him and, like, seeing all of their loading screens are like, hey, be nice to one another, and, like, encouraging kids playing well together. I'm like, man, the early Xbox Live chat rooms or lobbies that I was a part of, I think the kids are, maybe not all the games, but at least that one, I'm like, hey, they're trying to set an example. Oh, Richard, you done with Bike Path yet? Just kidding. Second edition dropped. Well, there you go. Now I'm not holding my copy hostage for you, Richard. You can pick up your own copy of Bike Path. Highly recommend it. It's great, man. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this stream tonight. Almost 11 o'clock now. Thank you all for being here. 11 o'clock here, at least. For real, thank you all for hanging tonight. This was a fun one. Let me know in the coming days if you have any ideas or recommendations for what we should take a look at next week. This book arrived, I think it was like Thursday, like I said. So I've been hanging on to this one so we could all look at it together. Hope you all enjoyed it. And yeah. Dang, it's almost 11 a.m. here. Damn. Well, enjoy the day. I'm going to enjoy probably getting some sleep if I can. I'm going to play Stardew Valley for a little bit. Just a little bit while I lay down. And then I'm going to try to get some sleep. Love you guys. Thank you all for hanging with me. And yeah, see you next week.